Well, good evening, everybody. I'm AWSC meteorologist Josh Gimbel here, and we are obviously having a little bit of active weather here in Indiana. And so I thought I'd start off by talking pretty much about that active weather, specifically the tornado warnings that we have in effect for parts of the state tonight, including probably the most notable one that I've been following the last, I'd say, hour and a half or so has been this cell that pretty much went through the Henry County, including the city of Newcastle, and it's drifted off to the south or east southeast now into kind of the areas right around Cambridge City and Centerville. So let's take a look at this one real quickly. First off, this is a tornado warning that expires in 8 minutes. It's radar indicated. By that, let's kind of take a look at the information here. So again, it's only until 9:30 Eastern daylight time here for southwestern Wayne and northeastern Fayette counties at 9:15 p.m., which of course was just a little bit while ago. Severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado located over Cambridge City, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. This is radar indicated. So we have not had any confirmed tornado yet. Let's kind of take a look at the velocity scans here. Again, if you're not familiar with velocity scans, it shows us kind of basically the winds going away from the radar and the winds coming towards the radar. And essentially, that's where you get those red and greens. And when you have those kind of close together, you have that rotation. And so you can kind of take a look here. This storm has a rather broad rotation. I'd give it that there. You can kind of see the green here. There's a little bit of red, a little bit of pink here, but overall, it's kind of broadened out a little bit. So it's not as what I would say as defined as it once was. Of course, it's also nearing the edge of the Indianapolis radar as well. So we can kind of take a look at maybe this radar over here, and you can kind of see a little bit more of that there. Here's that meeting right here, kind of your red and green kind of meeting together right here. So this is where the rotation that we're focused on for this particular storm is at. Is right here, kind of going into basically just a little bit south east of Cambridge City. Now it's moving rather slowly, so it's taken about an hour or so, hour and a half to get across Henry County from Newcastle area all the way to here. So it's taking a good while, really, to kind of go through that area. So that's at least the first tornado warning that we have in effect. And then this one down here, this one looks a little bit more impressive. This tornado warning has been indicated for till 9:30, so it expires again in about 6 minutes or so for northeastern Franklin County. Basically, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Brookville, moving east at 25 mile an hour. So again, very slowly, but this is still radar indicated, and you can kind of see again that rotation that you see here, kind of right along the Brookville area, really close to it. But you can see that rotation there. So these are all radar indicated. We have not gotten any confirmation whatsoever if there's a tornado on the ground. I'm sure there are storm spotters maybe around that area, so hopefully we can get a good confirmation on that. But from what we can tell right now, it seems like it's just radar rotation, nothing on the ground as we speak. And so again, and I will say the rotation kind of looks a little bit more impressive just right over Brookville right now. And it looks pretty impressive. I would assume for both of these storms that there's going to be most likely a reissue of these warnings, probably a little bit more ahead here. So most likely you're going to get a little bit of that southeastern portion of this county here, and then kind of going into that area, you're going to eventually get the basically southeastern parts that eventually extend all the way here and kind of just continue on, maybe contain a little bit of Liberty here. And then here, I have a feeling they're going to keep it extended a little bit further going into Ohio. So that's kind of what's been going on right now is essentially what's been going on with those two tornado warnings. Now, again, they are set to expire here in just a few minutes, but again, I expect those to be reissued with a little bit better, probably a little bit more longevity there, because they still look pretty impressive with the rotations. Now, taking a look back at some of these storms here that are across the rest of the state. There has been some pop-up showers and thunderstorms, pretty much, or not really pop-up, but there's a nice little line that's starting to form just a little bit north of the Indianapolis area. Basically, seeing a lot of storms here in Gas City, Upland. Not a lot of lightning in this area, but as we get more west, especially southwest of the, starting with this line, it looks like lightning increases. In fact, the Lebanon area, definitely seeing some good lightning strikes here within the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 minutes or so. Definitely seeing a decent amount of lightning there, but they're kind of just sporadic. Yeah, and also the storm cell just a little bit north of east of Frankfurt is another area that it looks like that's got a little bit of lightning there. To the north, kind of looking a little bit to the north, I got a nice line of storms here extending from the northern part, northeastern part of Indiana, all the way down to a little bit of the northwestern part of Indiana. Going into Rensselaer, Winnemac, Plymouth, all the way going through Middlebury and LaGrange, all the way up into Michigan. So it's kind of interesting on how that approaches here. So yeah, definitely a lot of lightning actually occurring. And excuse me, let me get this back to orientation there. Sorry about that. A lot of lightning associated specifically with this Lebanon one. I just got actually some word from my boss, Michael Reynolds, who lives in Lebanon, and basically he told me there's a lot of frequent cloud to ground lightning strikes going on right now. And again, that's pretty evident that you can see by the radar. And again, kind of looking a little bit further closer to here. So that's kind of that. You can kind of see a few storms kind of situated just over just kind of north of the Terre Haute area and in Terre Haute itself, kind of into Illinois as well. And then a little bit, one just a little bit east of Bloomfield area, kind of like basically going right along the 69 area. As well. So there's kind of just a few storms here, but the main two really, and I tell you what, looking at the Brookville one, there's a lot of lightning associated with this tornado warning there. So it's not just not just the tornado warning itself, but also just the lightning is another threat as well with these storms. So it does look like they did just reissue that tornado warning. Looks like they didn't push it too far out of the area, probably just because of the fact it's weakening just a tiny bit, but it's still a strong storm nonetheless. And so we'll have to wait and see what happens with this one. Most likely, again, it's going to be reissued and whatnot. So that's kind of what's been going on around the state of Indiana currently right now. However, I do want to take a peek of what's going on over here in Illinois. I know that we're broadcasting mainly for Indiana. However, we do want to talk a little and look a little bit in Illinois because there's some tornado warnings here that I know we're also not only broadcasting on our Indiana Facebook page, but also on our regular America's Weather streaming channel Facebook page and on YouTube. So it's always good to branch out a little bit. So those of you who are in Indiana, just be patient. I'll come back to Indiana just in a really little bit. But I want to real quick just kind of show what's going on over here in Illinois. Again, this is a tornado warning. Radar indicated. Looks like an inch quarter-sized hail is expected with this actually storm currently that they've observed. So that's interesting. But the tornado itself is radar indicated. The tornado warning will be in effect till 8:45 p.m. Central Time, of course, 9:45 Eastern Time for northeastern Christian and southwestern Macon counties. Essentially, it's moving around, 20 miles per hour. So again, these are moving relatively slow, but this is radar indicated. So let's take a look at the velocity scans on this one and see what it looks like here. So not a whole lot. Let me see if I can find another radar that we can take a look at and see if there's anything on there. Not really that impressive going on here. I have a feeling. Let's go back to the past and see what the rotation is for that one. So not, at least according to what I see on the radar, not a whole lot of rotation going on here. And it looks like just very weak rotation, if anything. I'm not seeing really anything going on with the radar here. And then this is the only other radar that I see that's closest. So it's just basically just radar indicated. Not a lot going on with this one right now. with that. But let's kind of take a look a little bit about the bigger picture. It looks like that's the only lone tornado warning now. The one down to the south that had a tornado warning is now shifted over to a severe thunderstorm warning. Let's real quick kind of take a look at those just to kind of be, because sometimes severe thunderstorm warnings can turn into tornado warnings. So let's take a look at the velocity. And yeah, I mean, you can easily kind of indicate a little bit of these red and greens kind of areas here. So it's understandable that there were some tornado warnings with this area. And I mean, this definitely has a little bit of pink to it, which kind of shows a little bit of more winds or sometimes even hail. And we can kind of take a look a little bit to see if there's some hail on this. Um, let's take a look at that, see what's going on. Yeah, most likely this is more of an indicator of hail. Pretty good sized hail. Looks like just a little bit north of Greenville, along with just right over Vandalia, I guess I would say, right along I-70 here. And then it looks like a little bit of hail with this storm as well. So quite impressive setups that are going on right now. And then even over here with that storm up around the um, in between Springfield and Decatur, it looks like that has a little bit of hail associated with it. So, that's pretty much about what's going on for the most part around the area. Everything's kind of ramping up a little bit with those storms. Again, in Indiana specifically, we're just kind of more concerned about that and kind of looking through here. So it looks like that tornado warning did actually expire. It's now a special weather statement here. Kind of take a look at the velocities again, and it does look like there's still a little bit of rotation, but not as well defined as it once was. So it looks like the storm here, just a little bit north of Brookville or northeast of Brookville, looks like it's kind of slowly but surely dying off. But we'll kind of continue monitoring that. We still have a good decent amount of rotation, a strong rotation embedded within this cell over here. That's pretty much there, moving east southeast. And again, I've been monitoring this all the way over in the Newcastle area. And again, the rotation just kind of indicated right here. So that's kind of where we're focused and centered at. Again, this is radar indicated, so we don't have any confirmed tornadoes at this point. But it's always good to make sure that we take cover just in case if there would be one coming down in that area. So again, the rotation, the specific rotation is kind of right in between Cambridge City and Centerville. It's more southeast and southeast of that area. So we're not really too concerned whatsoever with we're not, it's not going to be in those areas. But again, it's always concerning when we have a tornado warning to make sure that you're seeking shelter and going through your safety plans and knowing exactly what's going on. So that's kind of the lone tornado warning that we have. But again, we've got several different thunderstorms across the state, and again, we're just kind of monitoring those as they continue pushing southeast. Now, what I want to do is kind of come back here a little bit to this a little bit. Give me just a moment here. Let me go ahead and try to share the screen again here. What I want to do is I want to go to the Storm Prediction Center here. I wanted to show you guys a little bit about what's going on. First off, about 22 minutes ago, they did change it a little bit. It hasn't really changed too much from this afternoon or this morning that we posted it. So this is the convective outlook for this for today. Basically, pretty much most of the southern half of India, actually, yeah, pretty much all of the southern half of Indiana up to central portions of Indiana is under slight risk for severe weather through tonight and into tomorrow morning. The tornado threat is 5%. Now, what they did is they really pushed it up farther north to where it now covers a lot more of Indianapolis and a little bit more eastward compared to instead of south like it was. So, and it does make sense. I mean, we do have those tornado warnings right now. So that's kind of what's going on there with kind of the specifics. We also have wind threat as well, and then hail threat is very low, but it's possible that we might get some hail as well in some of these storms. But the main kind of concern is more for tornadoes and wind. And again, these are with some of these storms that are starting to form right now. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of take you guys a little bit more into real quickly pivotal weather. which is our basically our kind of showing our models a little bit. We kind of want to go through that a little bit because I want to show you guys kind of what's expected for this evening. Because that's kind of important for us to take a look at that. So let me go ahead and show you guys kind of the models that what they're predicting here. So this is right around 9 o'clock. This evening is where this starts off. So really, it's not too far from where we're at now, time wise. As we go through the evening, you're going to see a little bit of that line kind of congealing together and then drifting off to the southeast or so. And then this will clear out right around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. This morning coming up this morning. So if we want to take a look more about what it's going to kind of look like, and again, this is very similar to where we're at now. But again, that line is going to congeal. And so while this line congeals, and when we say that, it means basically that these individual storms are just going to converge into a line itself and then kind of push off. So that's what we call as congeal, that kind of description word there. So what's going to happen is basically the line's going to eventually form and push south. So I'd say what's going to happen is that the atmosphere is very unstable, particularly in the southern half of the state. Okay, in case if you were not out and about today, the humidity was absolutely ridiculous. It felt like it was huge soupy weather. That's kind of what it felt like, and so it essentially, we have a lot of energy to work with tonight. And, even though we had storms earlier this morning in the early afternoon hours, we still have a lot of energy to work with. And so that's kind of what they're thinking is that as this drifts off, there's more energy to work with it. And then thus these storms get stronger. So right now, obviously, we have some stronger storms, but they're only going to increase as we continue on through the rest of the evening into tomorrow morning. So that's kind of what we expect here. And again, some places will not get all this stuff. We already see a lot of that line. If we look at the radar again here shortly, you're going to see that line already in the northwestern parts of the state is already going to be gone. But for us in central and south, so the southern parts of Indiana, we're going to be on a little bit of alert through the rest of the night as well as in tomorrow morning, as these storms do drift off to the southeast, giving us those chances of severe weather. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Let me go ahead and kind of bring it back to the radar so we can take a look at that. A little bit more on that. So again, right now, current radar is just showing one lone tornado warning, and that's set to expire in about 20 minutes or so. And again, it's for radar indicated rotation. If we want to take a look at that, we can. Let me get that off of there real quick. It does look like that rotation is slowly but surely dying out here. And part of it could be that we had a little bit of energy already go through this area this afternoon. But you can easily see, if you look at right in this area here, you can see that part of the rotation just kind of just dies off. Even the intensity of green starts to die off a little bit. So this storm is starting to weaken a little bit. And it looks like it's just going to eventually, that tornado warning will expire most likely beforehand. And looking at this storm here, you can kind of see a little bit of intensification, just a smidgen from this. But again, this could also be due to hail as well. A lot of times what happens is that sometimes even hail with the velocity, sometimes the velocity readings can get a little off because of hail, because a lot of sometimes people mistaken that. So let's kind of take a look at this a little bit here. It does look like the rotation is still kind of there just a little bit, but again, it could be more in the ways of hail versus more of a tornado, but we'll have to just keep a monitoring an eye on that. Again, I feel like I have a feeling that eventually that'll be converted into maybe another tornado warning. We'll kind of have to keep an eye on that one. But again, over here, that rotation's kind of dying out a little bit. You're not really seeing. Yes, you got some red here and a green, but it's not as well defined as it once was. And so I think that's where we're going to kind of see that. And again, with this rotation here, and it looked like another scan came through, and it looked like it's not as intense here. Again, hail could possibly do that. A good indication of possibly where hail could be is actually lightning. surprisingly lot of lightning. Lightning is shown to have different charges because with hail, a lot of times you can see a little bit that it kind of changes the way, or the charges within the cloud can sometimes be based off of hail as well. So it's very interesting how this all kind of pans out and works. But I have the feeling this tornado warning will probably expire earlier if it continues to weaken. But we'll have to see. This down here looks a little interesting. We'll have to see if it sort of re-strengthens a little bit. Let's kind of take a look through here. It looks like it just kind of continues to kind of, in a sense, weaken a little bit and then strengthen back up. So we'll kind of keep monitoring that. That's probably why the tornado warning is still there and whatnot. And so that's pretty much what's been going on for the most part. It does look like that tornado warning over in Illinois is still there, but again, I'm not really seeing too much in the way of it. Let's kind of take a look at the velocities. I mean, it's barely there, I guess, if you would want to call it here. Right, just a little southeast of, or southeast of Mount Auburn. Maybe a little bit of this, but the definition is just, I'm a little scratching my head a little bit on this, but I can kind of see a little bit of this. But I'm not, I'm a little, I don't know. It's just not the velocity is not well defined. Let's take a look at base reflectivity. Maybe that shows that. Not that one. Base velocity. Let's see that. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Let's take a look at storm relative velocity. Not really showing much of anything going on with that storm there. So that's an interesting warning there that's still there over in Illinois. But again, with Indiana, that's kind of the story right now. It's just basically these scattered showers and storms across most of the air, some parts of the area, but we do have that lone tornado warning that's kind of indicated here. So we'll kind of stick around a little bit to see what goes on with this. But like I said, I have a feeling that this most likely, when it does expire, or even it'll expire beforehand, it probably won't be redone unless, of course, that velocity changes, which again, it kind of has a little bit of that still left here. Again, kind of looking a little bit in this area here, you kind of can see it, but it's not that impressive whatsoever. It wasn't as defined as it once was, again, indicating that it is weakening a little bit. And again, you can kind of see it a little bit there. Although I will say it looks like there's a little bit of maybe something right here too. So it's an interesting storm, to say the least. It's kind of working its way around a little bit, and different areas look like it's rotating. So it's definitely a piece of work, that's for sure. Not a lot of lightning associated with it though. But again, this one down here, there's a lot of lightning associated with this one down here. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about what's going on right now overall in the areas. Kind of taking a look a little bit around area. I know that there was some severe weather kind of indicated, I believe, up in the Nebraska area, which it looks like this lone storms out here. So a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here. Overall, but and even in the South Dakota and North Dakota areas. But overall, we don't see too much going on in the way of activity. A few severe thunderstorm warnings, just a little bit north east of St. Louis. Again, this particular storm has a lot of lightning. That's interesting. This storm is very, very strong. Hail is basically 1.5 inches, which is ping pong sized hail, and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So if you're even in this vicinity of Vandalia, Pleasant Mound, basically right along I-70 or a little bit south of that, Kinmundi, it's kind of heading your way a little bit. Please make sure that you're inside. It does look like there's a chaser kind of going in that area. I won't click on him, show his videos or anything right now. But it does look like that he's kind of going on into a little bit of the area. Let's take a look at the velocity though on this. So again, there's a little bit of rotation in this area, and again, that's an indication of most likely the hail is going on. But it does look kind of impressive a little bit here. So I am surprised a little bit that there isn't any tornado warning. But again, most likely it's just due to the fact that there's a lot of hail going on. And again, ping pong sized hail, that's definitely going to cause the radar to do some interest to have some interesting signals to go along with it. So let's take a look at that and see what it's showing. So yeah, I mean, you look at how intense that hail core is right now. It's pretty interesting on what's going on over here in Illinois. So a couple of storm cells definitely strong in Illinois that are producing that. And it looks like that tornado warning is finally finally disappeared in between here, which makes sense because there really wasn't anything going on here. So let me kind of go back a little bit. Oop. All right, it looks like we do have a new tornado warning for basically the Anderson area, a little bit more in the Frankton and Alexandria area. Let's take a look at this radar indicated. Let's take a look at the velocities on this one. And yes, indeed, we can kind of see a little bit of rotation right here in the corner here. Basically, right just a little bit north of Hamilton. This is basically northeast of Noblesville area, just a little bit east of State Road 37. And it is moving off, from what I can tell, to the northeast at roughly, well, give or take, probably about 25 mile an hour. Let's take a look at this and see what it says here. But so the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for central Madison County in central Indiana until 10:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles south of Elwood or 8 miles northwest of Anderson, moving at least, there you go, 25 miles an hour. So again, these are moving relatively slow tonight, so it can pack a powerful punch. But this is radar indicated. We don't have any real good reception right now on whether or not there is a tornado on the ground. But it sounds like it's just radar indicated at the time being. So if you are in the areas of, and if we kind of take a look at this, and let me go back to reflectivity a little bit and zoom out here. So if you're in the areas of, like, the rotation's right around here. So if you're kind of in the areas of Linwood, let's see, if you ride along State Road 9, Jackson St. Pike or Street Pike, you got Gillum, that's another one a little bit later. You're not in the warning area yet, although sirens are probably going off. You want to make sure you're prepped and prepared because this is going to be heading close to your area, most likely a little bit north of your area, but still that's kind of something to be cause of concern. So again, taking a look at the velocity, you can see this is where the rotation is, and if we take a look at the movement here, it's going east northeast. You can kind of see it moving this way. So actually, ignore kind of what I was saying. It looks like maybe it's actually might be heading into the Frankton area, or in between there. So if you live in that vicinity, make sure that you seek shelter immediately. You can again see that rotation right here. Again, it's not strong, but because the fact that there is a nice little slight tightness to it, it's something definitely a cause for concern, which is why they issued the tornado warning for that particular storm there. So that's kind of our new tornado warning there is for Madison County. And actually, this is actually an observed tornado. I repeat, there is an observed tornado on the ground as we speak. Basically right along the West 300 North here in Madison County, Indiana. This is they just changed it over. It's a confirmed tornado located 8 miles northwest of Anderson, moving northeast at 25 mile an hour. So this is a dangerous time here, folks. Make sure that you are seeking shelter immediately. And again, I want to go ahead and put a tracker on this, kind of going through, I think, in my mind, this is kind of where it's going a little bit. So let's take a look at this. So 25 mile an hour here. So if we set it to this, Linwood is about 17 minutes away. Alexandria is 23 minutes. These are the only two areas here, but about 5,000 people living in this area. So please seek shelter immediately. This is an observed tornado on the ground, essentially just a little bit north of West 300 North. We haven't gotten to a new scan yet, but I'm assuming it's probably over in this vicinity area now. So please seek shelter immediately. Again, if you're going to be right along Hamilton Road, 500 West, any of those areas there, please seek shelter immediately because there is a Tornado warning for your area, confirmed tornado on the ground currently, and basically that area, and then again in the Madison area, so you can kind of see a little bit there from there. So that's kind of our most intense storm there. It does, and again, that storm that was over there, essentially in central Fayette counties in east central Indiana. That one is not, it's just radar indicated, but we're going to focus our attention still on this storm here that's observed tornado, again, northwest of Anderson, and moving basically northeast at around 25 miles an hour. So this is kind of where that's at currently. And it's just basically right north of Hamilton. That's essentially where that's at. Let's take a look at the velocity again, just a little bit northwest of Hamilton, moving northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So that's kind of the big issue there. Before I kind of forget here, let me take a look and see if anybody's got any chats going up on here. I want to make sure that if anybody has said anything to me, I want to make sure that we got that. It looks like nobody said anything. Hey, if you want to, please make sure that you comment. If you got any questions about what's going on right now tonight, please make sure that you are commenting on these things, asking me questions. I'm more than happy to do that. I'll kind of switch back and forth between this to make sure that I can actually see what's going on. So again, the main thing right now is obviously looking at this tornado warning here, because again, it's observed tornado. And we'll take a look at that velocity scan again to take a look at where it's at. It's an observed tornado. It's going to expire in 23 minutes, but if it continues, it'll obviously be extended. But the tornado has been indicated right in this area here, and just basically right, not too far away, northwest of Hamilton. And again, Hamilton Road is essentially where it's going to cross here eventually as you continue moving north, maybe right around West 500 North or whatnot. You can see again that meeting of the red and the green here, particularly with the pink. And so we'll continue to see and kind of monitor a little bit of that. So there's kind of the formation there. I mean, it doesn't look that impressive, but it's there. And again, a lot of these tornadoes are going to be small spin-ups, just because of the fact that it's again the rotation's not very well defined. It looks like to me that's embedded. If you take a look at the whole storm structure itself, it's pretty much embedded within the storm. So it's going to be rain wrapped, so there's not going to be a whole lot of visibility to it, and so that's kind of the deal there. But that's moving again northeast at around 25 mile an hour. And and if we take a look at this, I know that we're focused on this right now, but we're going to take a look at real quick this tornado warning just reissued. I told you that this was starting to strengthen back up again. This is radar indicated. It is for Franklin County in southeastern Indiana and southwestern Butler County in southwestern Ohio. Again, radar indicated, moving about 20 to 25 mile an hour, and this expires at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So I knew that was eventually going to be extended out. It was just basically refiring here. But again, what we're more focused on right now is this tornado warning here, because it's an observed tornado that it's not radar indicated, it's an observed tornado, and you can see the rotation right here. And again, it's just moving just a little bit northeast. We're trying to wait for the next scan here to see what it kind of brings here for just a moment. So we're going to have to kind of be a little bit patient to see how that new scan works here. See what's going on, because it hasn't updated for just a few minutes here, but we'll see that update here very shortly to see what kind of the indication of what that velocity is doing and where it's going and whatnot. So we'll kind of monitor that, but kind of give an overall big picture though. You can kind of see a little bit of these storms kind of firing a little bit here. And, again, through Indiana, you can see that. Now, drawing a little bit more attention to Illinois, southern Illinois, you can kind of see, again, those storms. And again, we talked about this earlier in the stream, is that I was like wondering if this wasn't going to have a tornado warning, but hey, it definitely has a tornado warning now. Let me go ahead and kind of put it to the St. Louis radar, because we'll have a little bit better view on that versus Well, let's take a look at this here. Where did the, oh, hang on a second. That's not it. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. So now we can take a look at this a little bit more further into detail down here. Now this is radar indicated tornado. So radar indicated rotation. Quarter size hail again in this area. This is for the northwestern Marion County in south central Illinois and south central Fayette County in south central Illinois. So that 5 times fast. But you can see kind of, again, that kind of that rotation area, specifically right in this area here. That makes a lot of sense, and it's going to be south-southeast. Now there is looks like a storm chaser, or storm spotter, if you would, kind of in the area. Looks like he's getting himself set up, so you can kind of see a little bit about what's going on there. And then we do have another tornado. We have a tornado warning over here. Radar indicated quarter-size inch hail is also a threat with this. And this is for southwestern Bond County in south central Illinois and eastern Madison County in southwestern Illinois. These go until 9:30 Central Time. Pretty much, I would assume both of these go into 9:30 Central Time. And so that's kind of something we're going to have to monitor as well throughout the next couple of basically minutes or so. But we do need to draw again our attention to the tornado warning that is observed tornado over here in Madison County here in Indiana. And let's take a look at the velocity again, let's see what it looks like. Again, it's not as well defined as it once was, but you can kind of see a little bit of where that rotation is right there indicated from that. Now the pink that could have been shown could have been when it was on the ground. It may not be on the ground now, but it could be still. Again, that's where they're doing that. Let's take a look at the movement real quickly and kind of take a look, see which way it's fully going here. Movement's always good to look and to see what's going on. So yeah, I mean it's moving east, northeast. You kind of see that. So it's weakening a little bit, that area, but it's kind of again going along the areas of basically it's crossing Hamilton Road as we speak, or a little bit, or it's been already crossed, and eventually hit West 500 North in Madison County. So not as well defined. It definitely would have been a spin up tornado, that's for sure. As that rotation kind of is not as defined. So we'll keep an eye on this. Hopefully that tornado warning goes away here soon. But yeah, it looks like there was an observed tornado on the ground. This expires in 16 minutes. So again, though, it's still good to take cover. It doesn't matter if the rotation's died out or not. Still, we could always see that radar is great, but not always 100%. The radar is only indicating what's going on in the sky. What's going on the ground is usually when we have trained storm spotters or law enforcement. A lot of times we'll figure out what's going on in the ground, and so that's kind of important for us. So even though these folks are, some people are calling them tornado storm chasers or whatnot, storm chasers, storm spotters are all vital importance to the National Weather Service, as well as to folks like ourselves who are reporting on this. That way we can actually get information and understanding, is there something on the ground, is it not? And it looks like from this last scan, it looks like the rotation has disappeared quite quickly and quite rapidly. So I'm imagining that this storm has weakened considerably. It looks like the storm itself is congealing a little bit more. It's not as well defined as it once was. Let's take a look at kind of the motion here. So not really too much going on. What it could be doing too is it could be building back up a little bit, especially since it's got more of the southern half is getting a little bit more stronger. So it's possible that maybe we might see something more down here a little bit later on. I'm just trying to get more of an image of maybe what could be going on there as well. It looks like that tornado warning has now been dropped for a tornado could be possible in this severe thunderstorm warning. Time to take a look at the velocity. It still has a little bit of rotation. It's not very well defined at all, and so that's why they said possible. So right now it's just severe thunderstorm warning. We'll kind of have to take a look at that. And then coming down to this one, Again, it's radar indicated right now, but you can kind of see a little bit of that rotation right here, about ready to cross the Indiana, Ohio border here. So kind of going into the Ohio's territory as well. So things are kind of weakening a little bit. It's possible that maybe perhaps the daytime heating just didn't quite get enough jolt of energy with this. So that's could explain why these storms are very quick and then they just kind of die out. But we do need to keep a monitor on a couple of these storms, just because of the fact that it looks like the definitions are pretty interesting to say the least. Again, kind of looking a little bit in south eastern, or sorry, south central Illinois, kind of looking a little bit at these storms. Again, radar indicated rotation here. Not as well defined as it once was, maybe right around here. Not really that defined. What really is defined is more over here for this particular storm, this tornado warning. Kind of essentially looking at this area here, and perhaps maybe even this area here to indicate rotation. So that's the interesting part. Most likely, now, real quick, do this. Most likely it's right here. Where it's indicated, and it's moving this way towards Salem, which is why you've got this storm chaser down here, kind of sitting himself there, kind of positioning himself there as well. We got another one right over here. We've used his stuff before. He seems like he travels around the country all the time, so we'll probably just kind of forego that for right now, just because again we don't necessarily have we want to make sure we have permission from these folks to reuse that, because this is kind of their thing, and I respect that. I'm a storm chaser or a storm spotter myself, and so I kind of have that full on respect for those folks. But that's pretty much about what's going on there. Looks like the rotations kind of pop back up just a smidgen, but not that much. We're getting closer to kind of more of the edge of where the rotation could be and not be, and so that's where it kind of gets a little kind of faded out here. So personally, I think it's dying out. It's kind of a very weird position in the tornado, or in the storm where that tornado was. So it's kind of weirdly positioned, so I can understand why it did not stick around here. So, but are a decent amount of things going on right now across the state. Again, kind of just very sporadic storms here. They're slowly but surely trying to congeal into a line, but they're not that defined. And I think it's going to be a bit before we kind of see that congealing going on here. So I'm going to continue to stick around for a little bit longer. We're going to kind of talk a little bit longer for these storms a little bit here until at least for these storms in Indiana to expire. It won't take long for those to expire here, and then kind of just taking a peek. Again, I feel like this particular storm here is going to die out here shortly here in Illinois, just because the rotation is not really well defined anymore. But we do got a storm spotter. Well, the rotation could be possibly right in this area here. Not super well defined, but it's there. We got a storm chaser on it, storm spotter on it as we speak right now. So he's kind of getting him in position there, kind of taking a look at what's going on. So he'll be right there. What I'm hoping he can do though is hurriedly somehow get a little bit south of this, so that way he doesn't run straight smack into it. That's not what you want to do. So hopefully he can quickly get through here, if not stop right around here before he gets to it. So again, it's kind of interesting on where these guys position themselves. In storm spotters and storm chasers, we take these storm spotter classes and understand where we position ourselves specifically to know exactly where's the safe areas. And of course, as actual truly meteorologists, that's kind of what part of our training is too, is that we acknowledge and try to get to that position the best we can, so we know exactly what's going on, and that way we also don't get hurt either. And so that's a big deal, because if we're smack dab directly in that tornado's path, it risks ourselves of getting hurt, and that doesn't do good for anybody. So I have a feeling this will probably weaken here soon, but this storm is pretty impressive here. Definitely got some well-defined rotation here. No confirmation of a tornado, but definitely well-defined rotation that's going on in south central Illinois here. So that's an interesting point of that. And again, it's moving kind of southeast here. This is a new scan. Let's take a look at that. So yeah, you can kind of see a little bit here of what's going on. So yeah, they slimmed that down to now even further here. So this will be interesting. I'll have to see when that if they get a confirmation of whether or not they're anything is there or not. We'll kind of check back a little bit in later with that. We're like I said, the storms themselves are, especially here in Indiana, not as defined as they once were. That tornado warning will expire here in Madison County here in about 9 minutes or so. Again, I don't really see much in the way of rotation here. I think it's far too south of the Fort Wayne radar. Well, actually, up here in the northern parts of Indiana, it's just way too far south to really see anything there. So, excuse me for one moment here. So, again, I don't really see too much in the way of rotation anymore. I think the storm is kind of regenerating a little bit, getting stronger and more in the southern parts where kind of you got Anderson here, the strongest part of the storm, I think is more in this area here rather than up here where that rotation was. But we'll keep an eye out on it as well. And this storm has now really exited the Indiana area going into the Ohio area. But clearly, again, radar indicated rotation here. Kind of take a look at kind of that. And you can see it right in here. So, right now, again, no confirmation, but definitely something to keep an eye on, for the next, several hours or so and whatnot. But that's pretty much about the story that we're really, talking about. Several different tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings out there, very sporadic storms really kind of approaching. They're trying to line up a little bit right now. But we'll see where it goes. A lot of these are traveling east, northeast. Some of them are traveling east, northeast. Some of these are traveling south, southeast, and then some of them are just going plain east. So it really depends. It's all kind of moving in sort of. And I know my camera's kind of reverse here, but kind of moving in this direction here, kind of swooping down, kind of curving a little bit as well while doing it. So it's really interesting on how this has grown. I'd say actually one of the more impressive storms is actually this one that's just a little bit north of Bedford. It's heading there, so it's growing quite rapidly right now. So this will be interesting. Let's take a look at the velocity. Aha! All right, so where did the radar go? Let's reload that for a second. There we go. All right. Well, looks like this storm has kind of gotten a little bit of rotation. Just a little bit right here, just a little bit northwest of Bedford, just in entering this county here. You got had Monroe County here, and then now you've got basically just entering this next one here, and we'll have to keep an eye on this. Again, this is going to be kind of moving a little bit. Let's take a look at the motion here. Yeah, so it's kind of moving a little bit east, southeast. So Guthrie. You may want to not so much seek shelter, but just be cautious, just in case if some of this starts to intensify. It looks like the storm is intensifying a little bit as it continues to move off to the southeast or so. So that's one to watch out for. This one over here in Jasonville, or just kind of next to Jasonville, is another one. Let's take a look at the velocities here. Kind of nearing that edge to where we need to start looking at the Evansville. Actually, the Paducah really radar. Well, not the Paducah radar. Well, no, just the Evansville radar. Sorry about that. The Evansville radar can also help a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's that helpful here. So let's just go back to the Indiana radar. See, that's one of the things I always seem to really get frustrated with sometimes, the fact that when storms get right in between the radars, It's really hard to define what's going on in them. That's one of the things I really wish that we could do as an initiative as for the government, is to get more radar areas, not just in Indianapolis or Evansville, but actually get ones that are smaller that can fill those gaps in between. Because, our main focus is just making sure we're protecting everybody and making sure we're informing about, weather around. And so radars in between would help so much and fill those gaps. But that would be a huge initiative, because I know there's some areas where they don't get to see radars too much or radar there. So will be interesting to say the least for that. But anyways, we'll have to keep an eye on this because it does look like it's starting to get a little bit more organized. So this one may get a tornado warning or at least severe thunderstorm warning. I'm surprised. Let's take a look at see if there's any hail. So there's a little bit of hail indicated by these storms here. So we'll have to take a look to see what's going on there. Definitely some hail up here, right on the Atlanta area. Definitely some hail going on over here, and then of course right along basically where Anderson is, there's looks like a little bit of hail as well. So let's take a look to see if there's any more velocity on this. Doesn't really look like it. So again, this is set to expire in 3 minutes. There is a severe thunderstorm warning, but now this is for this cell that's heading this way, along with probably this cell as well. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that here. So that's kind of the focus here in Indiana. Again, some storms up north. Kind of just a line here, broken up line, if you would, a little bit there. So not really that impressive right now. Really, everything is more impressive to the south and east here right now, but things are starting to look like a little bit ramped up in this area here. We'll have to keep an eye on these and seeing what they're going on with here. And then, of course, again, those tornado warnings that we have in the south central Illinois, which again is still radar indicated. Let's take a look at the velocities here. So you can kind of see a little bit of that. It's kind of broken. The rotation's broken up just a little bit. You can kind of see it defined here, and maybe perhaps defined in this area, and it's a little broken up. So that'll be interesting. And then we got a little bit of rotation right here for this cell here, and then that's set to expire here soon too. We have about 17 minutes left, so still a decent amount of time here for those tornado warnings indicated here, but not a whole lot of rotation here, really, when it comes to this storm here. Not as defined. This one definitely has some definition here, but still just radar indicated. This one, on the other hand, still radar indicated, but not as well defined. So, trying to think here if we've got anything else going on right now across the area. Not a whole lot other than this. So, this was anticipated, folks. Again, we were talking a little bit about that this morning and early this afternoon, that the atmosphere will be primed and ready to go this evening. And we did see a few storms that went through the state. No, not really any severe weather going through there. Just a lot of some lightning, some thunder, and then we had some rain as well. So it was kind of nice to have that a little bit. But now it's kind of ramped up a little bit and kind of have those severe thunderstorms or storms producing tornadoes as well. So that's something that we kind of have to have a little bit of caution to. So kind of have to take a look a little bit about maybe in this area here, the Anderson area. I just took a look a little bit here, and it does look like there's kind of a something maybe forming here. I'll keep an eye on it. That maybe some type of hook might be finding on there. And there's the end of that tornado warning there. But we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. But again, that Bedford storm is pretty impressive. We'll have to see where that goes. Again, that velocity is increasing a little bit, but not too much right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. It does look like maybe a little bit of rotation, maybe west of Clay City. So that'll be interesting to kind of continue to watch. So again, these have, like I said, this is kind of predicted a little bit. And lo and behold, take a look at that. We have a special weather statement, meaning a strong storm there just kind of got indicated there. So that's interesting. Winds excess of 40 mile per hour and miles per hour and penny-sized hail there. So gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. Minor hail damage to vegetation is possible. So if you're within this area, Worthington area, a little bit, Freedom, kind of on the 231, if you would, kind of corridor there. This is going to eventually reach your area. So be on caution. Again, this just kind of stronger winds here, but we'll gonna have to monitor up here because who knows what could happen there with that. Again, some of these storms are kind of placed interesting on where the rotation or where the areas of possible rotation might be indicated by the radar. But now we've got severe thunderstorm warning for basically the areas of and I quote again, Madison County, along with also southern Delaware County and northwestern Henry County as well. Talking about the same area that just got hit not too long ago, that storm's kind of indicating there. And as I said, this says tornado possible. What we're looking at is kind of like this area here. It looks a little bit like a hook. It's not well defined. But if we take a look at this area, yeah, we can kind of see a little bit of, rotation. Very, 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 very light area, but just literally northwest of Anderson. Again, it could be, it's defined in that sort of what I would call hook area. And again, that's a characteristic of a storm, having a little bit of winds. What happens is you get winds coming into the storm itself. And that's where you get that rotation, is that energy coming into the storm. And that's kind of what we're concerned about here. So the tornado could be possible in this area. We'll have to kind of continue to monitor to see if it organizes. And if it does, then we'll probably issue a tornado warning in this area. So pretty much everything is now kind of going into severe thunderstorm warnings right now, special weather statements. And if you take a look at this, again, we talked about the one in Bedford is kind of strong too. We'll kind of keep an monitor on that. But storms are just kind of firing up right now along this area here. It looks like it's a line that's sort of kind of slowly congealing together a little bit. And then you've got this nice line here, which indicates the lifting disturbance that's kind of pushed in this area. Trying to think here. We do have a special weather statement. It looks like for people that are living in the Jasper area as well as the Huntingburg area, most likely St. Anthony as well. Basically, it's a strong storm capable of producing maybe perhaps some wind. Let's take a look at velocities here. Not a whole lot when it comes to velocity. Let's take a look to see if there's any type of where's that at? Yeah, there is some possible hail with this storm as well. So that's kind of what they're really hinting at and talking about right now, is kind of this area. And again, it's just basically just a little bit north of Huntingburg, in between Huntingburg and Jasper. So that's kind of where that's at. Again, it's moving what looks like to be east southeast, and most likely it's probably 25 to 30 miles an hour. And again, they're moving relatively slow through this. So that's kind of what's going on there. A lot of special weather statements, a lot of strong storms indicated in these areas here for that. Now, it looks like that tornado warning looks like that is expired for this area here in south central Illinois here. So now it's a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, tornado possible because of the fact that it was a tornado warning for a little bit. A little bit of weak rotation, actually perhaps maybe even a little bit more increased rotation right here, a little bit more well-defined. You still have that tornado warning over here, radar indicated, and you can definitely see that that rotation right in this vicinity here. But again, no confirmed tornado. They did extend it to a severe thunderstorm warning, and again, tornado being possible there because, of course, it was a tornado warning for a little bit. So we'll kind of see, especially back here, to see if that changes into a tornado warning again in this area. So we'll have to kind of see what's going on there. But that's pretty much about it. Everything else is kind of just Um, just basically normal severe thunderstorm warnings, things like that. Michigan area for a little bit. I did see earlier this afternoon to early evening that there was a severe tornado warning up here. So that's kind of what's going on there. Let me real quick take a look at here. Yep. I do have looks like I do have somebody who just gave me a persistent patriot. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you commenting on here. Oh, you live southwest of Madison County. Sirens went off 15 minutes ago. North of Anderson's where the action. Yep. That's what I was kind of pointing out a little bit north of Anderson. That there was a defined rotation there, but it kind of died out. But there was a confirmed tornado, and it looked like though that it did die out, but it looks like that storm is regenerating a little bit, and it looks like we're kind of getting a little bit more viewability for what could be possibly on the southern edge of that storm. Could possibly get some rotation there. So let's take a look at that again real quickly. So what Persistent Patriot was talking about is that Anderson, and there we go. That's exactly what we were talking about right there before I kind of went up to Michigan and or South Central Illinois and then to Michigan. We were seeing that rotation, and now we have a tornado warning for. It's again radar indicated, no defined tornado, confirmed tornado yet, but the tornado warning has been issued for parts of Madison County, including Anderson, and basically, and since also going into Delaware County and northwestern Hendry County. This is until 10:45 p.m. tonight. Radar indicated producing a possible tornado or capable of producing tornado located over Anderson, moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. So that we were just talking about that. Let's take a look at the velocity scans here, and again, it's kind of jumbled a little bit, but you can kind of see that rotation right in this area here of where that is. And so we were talking about that just a few moments ago on this live stream here, indicating that it looks like it's going to eventually cross State Road 9 here shortly, just north of New Columbus, and it's going to kind of go and edge towards Henry County eventually. And again, the same area that got hit not too long ago with the tornado warning as well. So that's kind of the very interesting thing. Now, right now, it's just radar indicated. Hopefully, it stays like that, but we'll continue monitoring that. It doesn't look like it's well defined, but it's there. And so that's kind of what we're kind of concerned about right now with that. So looks like some of the storms around here have kind of petered out a little bit. Just now, a special weather statement, a lot of special weather statements across the state right now. And it looks like that tornado warning down here in south central Illinois has expired as well. It's just a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're just kind of looking at the different areas here. There's still a tornado warning here in Ohio. Let me see if I can pull up that radar image here. Look like a little bit better image here. Let's see, velocity scans. And again, not well defined. It's there kind of in this area here, but it's not well defined. It looks like the storm is weakening again. We talked about this earlier, that the storm did weaken and then regenerate. And that's kind of looks like the story of these storms, is that they're sort of regenerating, if you would, and then getting stronger again, and then dying out and regenerating. And so that's kind of looks like the pattern that we're going to see tonight with these storms. That's just constant regeneration, dying out, or getting strong, dies out, regen, so on and so forth. Just because of the different, I would say, different energy levels that are going on within the state, so to speak. So that's kind of the big picture right now. Tornado warnings. Just basically one in Ohio and one in Indiana, and we're just kind of monitoring that right now. Now, if we look and kind of expand all the way out here, again, this is also the area that had the severe weather. Was out there in South Dakota as well as in Nebraska areas as well. Special weather statements, severe thunderstorm warnings for those areas, again indicating. Now this is interesting though. This is a considerable damage threat though. These storms are moving quite fast. Looks like they're moving
at 50 mile an hour with winds up to 70 mile an hour with these winds here. And, a lot of people don't realize, but as you're going out west, of course, it's a lot flatter. There's not as much in the way of obstacles in the way, so the wind can travel a lot quicker. That's why you can see a lot of these storms producing 70-mile-per-hour winds out here, or perhaps even just in general. Sometimes you get winds that are produced at 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds. Not even storms or anything, just very windy. I know when I was very briefly working out in Casper, Wyoming, at a news station that's still around but is now owned for the Cheyenne stations called KCWY. And I did a very brief stint out there, but I can remember my first weather report was all about high wind warnings, and they were 60 to 70 mile per hour winds in some of these prairie areas and ranches areas. So it's not uncommon for that to happen out west. So if you've never been out west, it's something that does happen. But that's kind of just a little tidbit out there that I thrown out there. But there's a lot of just severe thunderstorm warnings out here. Again, though, wind damage is the big key for these. So if you're in South Dakota or in Nebraska area and Iowa, just be on the lookout for these storms here, because these are very for a big cause of concern. So let's kind of go back again into Indiana. Let's take a look, see if there's any more definition to this storm. You can kind of see it. You can kind of see it a little bit more well-defined rotation right here. So now a little bit south east of Anderson, about ready to get close to cross I-69 up there in between the Anderson exit there. That would obviously be one of them showing for the casino. So if you're in that casino area, make sure you take cover. This storm is again moving kind of slow. Again, 30 mile per hour now, so they're getting a little bit quicker. So if we look at kind of the direction of where it's going here, let's kind of follow the path of the rotation, which is right here. It's going to go in this direction. So if we kind of put a little bit of a motion here and put in 30 mile an hour. So it'll be in Middletown in about 10 minutes, Honey Creek in 17 minutes, Sulphur Springs 23, Springport in 26, Mount Summit in 28, Foley in 31 minutes, and Rogersville in 33. So again, this will get into Henry County, just a little bit north of Newcastle, is kind of where that's predicted to kind of go and go through it. But you can see a little bit more of that rotation is beginning a little bit more defined, which indicates that the storm is strengthening a little bit for sure. Let me get off of there as well. So, and then again, the tornado warning, that's for Ohio. It expires in about 2 minutes. We take a look at that with the Ohio radar here. Yeah, the rotation's not as well defined. I can imagine that this tornado warning will expire and won't really come back at this point for that. And this really died out up here too. But it's still a strong storm. It just died out pretty quickly there. So that's pretty much what's been going on around the area. Definitely some indication here. Again, Guthrie. Kind of keep an eye out on this one. This one could get a little bit stronger. It does look like that this storm is strengthening a little bit, more winds than anything. And so I'll have to keep an eye on that. And maybe perhaps the storm that's just right over I-70 there, just a little bit southeast of Brazil, could indicate maybe a little bit of strengthening as well. Of course, that's a little bit more on the edge here. But overall, other than the few tornado warnings here, that's pretty much about really what's going on. Not really anything else that would indicate that it's getting a little strong there. Let me go back to some of the comments, see if there's any new comments here. Again, if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to answer your questions or really to talk to you about some of these things. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to help you guys out with any of these things, or any questions that you might have, or anything that you might have gotten like information from people, because it's always good to pass along information, especially if it's good, solid information. So, anyways, let's get back to the regular reflectivity here. It's kind of taking a look around here, seeing where it's going. Let's take a look at the motion of these storms real quickly. Just kind of see where they're going a little bit. So it looks like a lot of this is east southeast. It's not really moving too fast. These storms are building up strength. Doesn't look like a whole lot of buildup around here. So anybody in Hendricks County or Marion County going into Johnson County, looks like the maybe perhaps there won't be anything. The only thing I can think of is maybe this storm cell here may interfere in Morgan and maybe even Johnson, but it does look like it's kind of weakening because the energy looks like it's going more towards this storm here. But we'll see. We'll see. It's kind of something that we're going to have to keep an eye on through things. But they're basically moving east northeast, and looks like about 30 mile an hour is probably about how fast they're moving. But it looks like it's Splitsville, right around the city area. So but again, we'll have to kind of see, especially with this storm cell. But it does look like it's probably will just go through, if anything, southern Johnson County. But we'll kind of see this kind of moving a little slowly to the southeast. So we'll see what goes on here with that. Let's go back to the tornado warning here. Still radar indicated, which is thank goodness for that. You can still see the rotation is pretty well defined here. Again, crossing looks like just crossed State Road 9 right now. And so we'll kind of see where that takes us here. Looks like that's a new radar scan here. So you can see the rotation not as defined. Looks like the Anderson area has been taken out of the tornado warning now since the storm was passed. Here's kind of that area right here. Again, it's going to head towards Middletown, Sulphur Springs, Springport, Mount Summit. All those areas are going to be under the gun, under this threat, and where the rotation is going. So if you're in these areas, please make sure you seek shelter immediately. Again, the tornado will be here within, or at least not the tornado, the rotation of where a tornado could be will be in your area within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So make sure that you're taking cover right now and following your safety plans, as you should do all the time with the tornado warning. Don't ever let your guard down when there's a tornado warning, ever. If there is, make sure that you are seeking shelter immediately. Okay, it's never a good thing to not follow your safety plans. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I really have streamed. Been a while that I've actually talked too. And as a teacher, or I guess for right now, former teacher, it takes a bit sometimes to get into your teacher kind of voice, if you would. So it's been a while since I've actually talked like this. So I do apologize if I have to take a few drinks from here of water from time to time. It's one of those things where I was used to it with the teacher voice, but not so much now since I've had the summer. Plus, so that's kind of why I've got a little bit more of a drier voice. So I do apologize on that. So we're just kind of waiting patiently to see what goes on with this tornado warning here. This became a special weather statement, so that obviously has weakened as well down there. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything else going on right now. Not really. Not too much of really anything going on. We have about 10 more minutes left on this tornado warning. See where this goes from here. So I'm going to kind of take a look at the velocity. And again, it looks like that the rotation is still holding relatively strong here. So we're going to kind of see a little bit. Again, it's located here. So kind of just keep an eye on it for the next several minutes or so, and seeing what's going on overall here. Again, if you have any questions on any of our social media pages, whether that be Facebook or or basically YouTube, don't hesitate to reach out, please, because it definitely help us out a lot. So definitely interesting down here. I would say kind of weak rotation, definitely right here, and just a little bit northeast of Ulicht, and or not northeast. Yeah, well, yeah, a little northeast of Ulicht, and just straight south of Guthrie. Kind of looks like a little bit of a rotation there, not very strong, but it's there. Something to keep an eye on. Looks like this storm is now under a severe thunderstorm warning. That pretty much is highlighted for the Clay counties as well as Owen counties until 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hail is the main threat for this, along with winds of about 60 mile an hour. So that's something we got to keep a concern about. And it's moving southeast at what looks like around 30 mile an hour, 25 to 30 mile an hour. So that's pretty much about what's going on there. That's our new warning there. We'll kind of take a look to see if this guy here in 8 minutes gets reintroduced. The rotation's still there. It's not fully defined, but it's there. And so that's something that we'll keep an eye on here for the next several minutes or so until it expires. It does look like there's a few more storms that are starting to pop up around the area. Looks like the one just a little bit southeast of or southwest of Connorsville. And so that's kind of looks like it's growing a little bit. So some of you in Connorsville might be getting something here shortly. So that's something that we have to kind of keep an eye out on there. Looks like the storms here a little bit are building up. It looks like southern, southwestern portions of Hinders County will be impacted by some of these storms that are coming through Putnam County right now. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see if they build up as well. So I mean, it's starting to pick up a little bit. We're starting to see a few more storms kind of congeal a little bit. We definitely have some storms down here in the Jasper Huntingburg area still. Looks like it's hitting St. Anthony right now. Lots of lightning, some lightning associated with these storms as well. No really anything velocity based, so that's always a good thing. Let's take a look at hail here. So there's a little bit of hail, looks like indication right around Huntingburg and maybe St. Anthony area, but they would be more light hail compared to I'd say a little bit more heavier hail and whatnot. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on this storm here as it moves towards the south and east, because it could hit just a little bit of southwestern parts of the state of Indiana here around Evansville area before getting into Kentucky. And it looks like it's beelining from Mount Vernon, Indiana, just right at that tip there. And they're the ones that got hit not a couple weeks ago with those storms. So that's hopefully it doesn't produce anything super strong for them tonight. It does look like a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for basically Lawrence County as well as Jackson County till 11:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, indicating an inch quarter-sized hail of basically hail, and then 60 mile per hour winds indicated in that as well. Looks like it's moving very, slight southeastward. I mean, the one that's just north of Bedford, and we knew it was strong. And so that's kind of what we're looking at there as well. And it looks like, right now we're on Evansville's radar a little bit, so it's still a little bit too far south, but it does look like still maybe a little bit, not much rotation there, but just maybe a little bit there, and that could be more for the hail that's been indicated here. So we've got just about 5 more minutes left on the main one here, and still it looks like that rotation is still kind of defined fairly well right here. So it's getting close to Middletown here. So we're kind of take a look at that. It's a possibility on there. So we'll see if that gets renewed here. And I'll stick around a few more minutes here. See that if it doesn't get renewed and it stays as a severe thunderstorm warning, I'll probably pop off of here for now until something else comes up for the time being. Let's check out, see if there's anybody else It doesn't look like there's any questions. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out and write these down. It's always a joy for us to always answer questions for you guys, because that's the whole point. We're trying to make sure that you're well informed about what's going on with the weather, rather than just staring at the radar and us talking about it. It's always good to interact with you guys. If you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out and ask about them, because I'm more than happy to answer these questions for you guys, because it's important for you guys to get to get the answers that you want for the questions that you have. So that's kind of why I said that there. Give me a moment here. So anyways, so things have been getting a little bit more active, and especially in the state of Indiana. We do have, of course, this severe thunderstorm warning, decent amount of lightning with these too, which is kind of interesting. So decent amount of lightning there. Probably the most lightning we have so far on radar indication right now looks to be, well, that storm there, and then also the one that's just northeast of Bedford. And that one's kind of going through Hoosier National parts of Hoosier National Forest right now. Again, about ready, just a little bit. Well, it essentially, let me take a look at this here. Where is there? Bloomington there. So just a little bit. It's definitely east of 37 now, and basically State Road 446 is where it's heading towards that area of Erie. So it's kind of a strong storm there, and we'll keep an eye on that as well. So we're kind of seeing this here. Expires in 3 minutes for that tornado warning here. Let's take a look at that. So it's kind of the rotation's a little jarbled right now. It looks like it's there, but it looks like it's kind of weakening a little bit. So we'll kind of see if they renew this or not. I mean, it's there. It's just not as well defined, and a lot of that has to deal with, again, the storm kind of wrapped around itself. This storm kind of joined up with it, which takes out a lot of that energy too. We'll kind of have to monitor, I'd say, more of this part here, and kind of watch to see what happens with these storms back here, because that could indicate maybe another severe thunderstorm warning there. We don't see no rotation in this area, but who knows what could actually happen with this storm. So again, this is going to set to expire here shortly. See that velocity area here. So we're right here. Expire here very shortly. Let's see. Anything else around the area? Not really. Now, the Storm Prediction Center was fairly spot on with this. I think it was a little bit more north. I think that they extended a little bit. But overall, they did a pretty good job with it, because a lot of the severe thunderstorm warnings are kind of in this area. And again, it's a slight risk for severe weather. It wasn't like a level 3 or level 4, right? Level 4 or level 5, because that would indicate a lot of tornadoes would have been produced. But no, it was just a level 2 and a level 1 for most of the state, but level 2 for the southern part of the state. And they did a pretty good job for that. In fact, I think in this area, if I can put that on there. Let me take a look at here. Yeah, let's take a look at that here. So there you go. So I don't usually turn this on, because I always like to do radar, whatnot. But you can easily see the slight risk for severe weather in this here. And it does, basically, it does include the majority of where all of these storms have been popping up and producing tornado warnings tonight. So they did the Storm Prediction Center did a very good job with defining that. I know there's been several other stream and other sites, I guess, if you would like to call it, that we're talking about the slight risk for severe weather, and they extended it far up here, kind of in a sense not really going with what the Storm Prediction Center was going with. and it was too broad. You can't really do that. You want to make sure that you're at least for us, what we do is we listen to the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center. If it's slight risk for them, we're going to do that. Why? Well, because they're the ones that provide us with the data. We interpret the data, but we also go with them because they are the number one. We get our information from them, but we interpret it in a way that is because the National Weather Service will push out data, but they won't interpret it for you. You have to interpret it. Well, that's why we're here, right? What America's Weather streaming channel, we are here for to interpret that data, to give everyone an understanding about what's going on. That's kind of why you have meteorologists on TV, why you have people like ourselves doing, private forecasting firm, for different companies. It's because we're the ones that are interpreting that data. All right. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anybody to interpret it, so we wouldn't know what's going on. So they were pretty spot on today. I think they did a wonderful job with that. Always happy to see that and whatnot. And even if we wanted to go the tornado parameter here and just turn that on, that just a little bit maybe farther north, but they did a wonderful job again today. So the Storm Prediction Center did a great job, and I'm very happy with how that kind of went down. Now, as I was talking about that, it looks like they did extend the tornado warning for that area. Again, radar indicated it's for the next 43 minutes, so basically until 11:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time here for parts of Delaware County and northern Henry County. So again, in the areas that just got hit not too long ago, they're getting hit again. Again, it's radar indicated, so it's not there. And I mean, I don't know. I suppose that there's a little bit of rotation here, but I mean, it's not really well defined as it once was. Maybe they jumped the gun a little bit on this tornado warning, but hey, sometimes these the National Weather Service sees things. I mean, I see it, but it just doesn't look like it's really there much more. And so I think that this will be dropped a lot earlier than expected. But who knows? Again, these storms have regenerated pretty quickly. So we'll just have to see what goes on. But that's kind of what's going on right now with that. And it looks like this storm kind of congealed itself all together here. So that's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Let's kind of see the movement of these storms here. So yeah, this kind of congealed up into a larger storm. So that's interesting. And it looks like there's some storms firing up here just into Morgan County. So just the west. So we're going to have to see this. It looks like it's starting to get a little bit stronger storm here. We'll see if it gets well defined here and see what happens going through Morgan County and into Johnson County, going to the, eventually the Mooresville area and perhaps Greenwood area and Bargersville area. So we'll kind of see where that goes on there. But everything seems to be moving east southeast, relatively slowly, but could definitely give an impact on some of this stuff. So that's kind of where that's at there. Still some strong storms over here in south central. I'm moving more into southern Illinois here. Looks like the Paducah one is down here. The Evansville one probably has a better view on this storm now. Kind of see the velocities. You can kind of see a little bit of that line of where the winds are coming through. So definitely heading this way. So definitely going to be heading towards if it continues to hold together, Mount Vernon area and perhaps Evansville area will get hit in Indiana. Kind of looking a little bit towards this one, kind of a little bit of areas that have rotation here. Let's kind of take a look at let's put it to this one here. They're moving farther south, and actually, let me move that over to here. So you can see a few areas here, maybe a few areas of rotation, but most likely that's just the hail cores that have been falling, which is why they're under severe thunderstorm warnings right now. So again, fairly active over in Illinois, but not as active as it seems. And it looks like, so this rotation down here, it's starting to actually become more well-defined here. I wouldn't be surprised if the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning to this cell just slightly north of Bedford. I guarantee you it's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for this. And you can kind of see a little bit of that, hookish a little bit here. So I would not be surprised if they would see a tornado warning for that one here shortly. So we'll kind of see where that's at. At least it's a lot more well defined than what I see up here. It's really not. I don't see a whole lot of that velocity in this area here, but it's still radar indicated tornado there. But this definitely looks like it's well defined. It does look like that's tightening up a little bit in this area here. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a tornado warning here very, very shortly. And I can speculate. Okay, I can speculate about this stuff, but obviously I can't issue these things. It's not my control by any means. I can say, hey, it's got some rotation, but I can't really say, oh well, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Looks like we got a couple comments here. Looks like Don Morning said, yep, loud storms. That's where they're at. That's awesome. The wind blew away the tornado where I live, thank goodness. Yes, that's always a good thing. Hayden at cheese. So it doesn't show the full thing here. Are more storage headed towards west central Indiana tonight? Don, let me take a look. I don't believe that's what's going to happen. Once they have passed through, if that's where they were at for you, it doesn't look like anything. There might be a little bit with the line of disturbance, but I don't sense anything really. If you live in the Crawfordsville, Lebanon, Greencastle, Rochdale, Thorntown, Lafayette, you're pretty much in the clear. You may get maybe a pop-up shower, but I don't see any severe weather actually happening whatsoever on that. And I apologize for not seeing those earlier. I know it's been about 10 minutes since you guys said that, but again, I'm kind of bouncing between kind of bouncing on one screen right now. I still don't have my other screen hooked up yet. Kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with our office here soon. So anyways, that's kind of what's going on there. So I appreciate your guys' comments. Continue to come in with these comments. I'm more than happy again to answer these questions for you guys, because I appreciate that wholeheartedly, because it does help us a lot. So again, a tornado warning for Henry County, as well as southwestern portions of Delaware County till 11:30 p.m. tonight. Again, it's radar indicated. We can take a look at this, and again, I guess there's some rotation, but it just doesn't seem to be very organized whatsoever. I think. I guess you can kind of call it this area here if you follow it, and it's just not. I'm just not very confident. It's about ready to hit Sulphur Springs area, Mount Summit here soon. Eventually going to be crossing in Henry County, perhaps maybe going across 36, going to Moreland, or close to Moreland area. Vanoise as well might be hit. But overall, everything's pretty much, that rotation doesn't really look very well defined, if you ask me, for that. And it's more impressive actually seeing this area here, where that's at. It was a little bit more well defined. You kind of see the storm itself. If you look at the velocity, it looks like it's kind of rotating in its own right. But it doesn't look like there's any indication of anything that's been there. I think it's more of the hail. I mean, there's a decent sized amount of hail with this ping pong sized hail indicated by the radar. So that's kind of a big deal thing that's going on right now for that storm. But it looks a lot more impressive than this storm up here. So again, I'm not. I don't think this storm is going to last very long at all when it comes to this tornado warning. So more concerned about what's going on back here with Pendleton area. Let's take a look at the velocities there. Not too much going on right now. Lightning, definitely for sure. Not too much going on there right now. So, so again, just the definition here of kind of that is interesting. And then even down here, we can look at this. Not too much really going on there. Let me look at the Illinois radar or the Louisville radar here. It's just, yeah, not really much going on. Again, something to monitor here. But like I said, I mean, I guess the rotation's probably around here. But again, it's not very defined whatsoever. Uh, but we'll continue to hold a little bit longer here to see what goes on with these storms. So, again, if you got questions, please ask them. I know that I was a little bit late with some of these things. So I do apologize on that for some of you. Again, I'm bouncing all around here. So let's take a look at this. So again, tornado warning, radar indicated 34 minutes on this for southwestern Delaware County and northern Henry County in central Indiana. Again, I'm very hesitant with the velocity. Let's take a look at maybe some other things, see if we can get some type of velocity scan on here. Yeah, not really well defined. Again, I think it's probably right around here, but it's just not really there much longer here. So we just have, I'd say, a little bit more minutes on this. I'd say if it doesn't really organize itself, I have a feeling that this tornado warning will probably expire a lot earlier than what's predicted here. Definitely strong storm down here, though. Ping pong size hail is indicated here with this severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Lawrence and southwestern Jackson counties. 60-mile-per-hour winds, along with also ping pong sized hail. So if you're in the vicinity areas, let me take a look at the velocity here. You can kind of see that here. Take a look at in motion. So here along the areas of Weedaville will be 22 minutes from now. Medora 29, Valonia 36, Ewing 41, Millport 41, Brownstown 40. Well, everything's all changed now. 41, Wigan 47 minutes to go here. So that's kind of where that's at. The hail core, I want to take a look at that. The hail core for this is right here. And again, just to kind of indicate the distance here. Again, Weedville 24 minutes, Medora 31, Valonia 38, Ewing 42, Brownstown 43 minutes until this storm will reach your vicinity. And actually, here's the radar has moved. Gotta love that, right? Now it's down 22 minutes for Weedville, Medora 29, Valonia 36, Ewing 40, and 41 for Brownstown. So if you're in this area, make sure that you have everything inside, because again, this is where you can see ping pong sized hail, and it can do a decent amount of damage. Hail in general can do a lot of damage. It's a very strong storm there, probably one of the stronger ones on the radar right now. Again, we still have that tornado warning, radar indicated here. Let's take a look at the velocity again. Again, not really well defined with this. Maybe a little bit more green here, but just not a whole lot of definition there. So I'm not really too concerned about what's going on in here. I think, like I said, I think it'll expire beforehand, but we'll see what goes on there. Other than that, we've got severe thunderstorm warning here for 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe a little bit of hail. And that's pretty much about it. We do have a flash flood warning for the areas that contains Richmond, Cambridge City, Centerville, and all that stuff, because these are where all the storms are just kind of going tonight, is in this area. But other than that, we've got a few storms that are building themselves up here right along Morgan County and southern parts of Johnson County. And these are all moving to the east, north, or east, southeast at about 20 to 25 mile an hour. So right now, nothing too strong, but just kind of just these storms kind of popping up here. So other than that, that's pretty much about what's going on. Like I said, I'm going to stick around a little bit longer until this tornado warning kind of expires here shortly, and then if it regains itself again, so be it. But I have a feeling it'll expire here shortly, just because there's just not a lot of things going on here. So let's see. Anybody else? It doesn't look like. Again, if you got questions, folks, please let me know. More than happy to answer them. I know that a couple people have already done that through YouTube, and I appreciate that. I want to continue doing that, and hopefully you guys are continuing to get your questions answered through that. So anyways, let's take a look at this and see if there's anything else going on. Looks like a stronger storm starting to form out in the Columbus area, which is interesting. So it's a stronger storm there. So definitely interesting to say the least for that. Let's kind of take a look at the velocity. Looks like it is growing, but nothing right now. Hopefully it stays like that. It does look like that one in Bedford is starting to kind of fall apart pretty quickly now. It did have some rotation to it, and pretty strong at that. And then just kind of has died out. I wonder if the hail core has died out too, in that matter. Let's take a look at that real quick. So no, the hail core is still there. You can kind of see the progression here. It's like just slightly smaller than what it was. So it did have a little bit of rotation, but not by much. Not by much at all. So let's take a look at this. Again, tornado warning in effect for essentially northeastern Henry County now till 11:30 this evening. It's kind of when it's supposed to be moving east at 30 miles an hour. Pretty much it's just Henry County at this point. Taking a look at the velocity there. You do see a little bit more defined rotation now, kind of coming back into the picture a little bit over here. I kind of see it right in this vicinity area here. Looks like it's eventually going to be hitting Mount Summit here shortly, within the next, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes. Again, these are moving relatively slow at about 25 to 30 mile an hour. So that's why it's taking a good while for these to just chug through. And especially since they're moving so slow, that's why we've got a flash flood warning indicated for that, because it's just basically they're just moving so slow, they're dumping so much rain on these areas. So that's kind of what's been going on there. Kind of looking at that. So that's pretty much about it and what's going on. It does look like kind of some stronger storms down here in the Huntingburg and just passing Ferdinand a little bit, probably most likely towards Siberia. Moved a little bit more from St. Anthony, and looks like just a little bit east of Schnellville right now. So these are stronger, but there's no warnings on them whatsoever. So then again, that's kind of what we're monitoring here for that against stronger storms. But it does look like, for the most part, that anything in this vicinity here is pretty much in the clear. We could see maybe a shower pop up. It does look like there is a shower that might be forming a little bit more just a little bit west of Lafayette. So right along this line here, which this is the disturbance line, if you would. So I can see that, but otherwise, no severe weather. Severe weather is out of the question at this point in time. So that's kind of where we're at there. It looks like a few storms are now popping up just south of Shelbyville and a little bit north of Adams as well, right along basically just west or east of 74 there. So that's pretty much about what's going on. Again, tornado warning here, 24 minutes from now. It's supposed to expire. Let's take a look at the velocity scans again. I know I keep going back to this, but again, the velocity just right here, not much. I think it's just more of a precautionary, tornado warning, just in case. It has had a history of producing a tornado, so it would make sense if there's just any indication of a little rotation there. Because really, all these tornadoes for tonight are more of spin-ups. They don't have a lot of. They have some juice to work with, but not a whole lot. And just the strength's not there, so they just kind of pop up and spin up, if you would. So that's kind of what's been going on there. So trying to look to see. Like I said, I'm going to stick with for the next 23 minutes or so. See if this comes back up as a tornado warning. If not, if it doesn't, then we'll kind of end the stream here for the time being. And if it does, then yeah, well, I'll kind of stick around a little bit longer here. Looks like a nice little storm cell happening right around the Pendleton area. Kind of a decent amount of lightning here. Let me change that from 5 minutes. Let's take a look at the lightning. Every minute. See if there's anything. Any minute. Yeah, not really anything going on with the minutes for lightning strikes. I always like to do every 5 minutes. Every 15 minutes, there's going to be too much. And every 5 minutes, I feel like it does a good job and indicating what's going on, where there's lightning strikes or whatnot. So right now we're kind of sitting here, just kind of waiting to see what's going on with this tornado warning here. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings are indicated right now for 7 minutes left for East Central Clay and Central Owen counties until 11:15 tonight. And then also we've got our Lawrence and southwestern Jackson counties till 11:15 tonight as well. So we're getting close to finishing up here with these. We'll see if they're extended as well. And then those tornado warnings that were indicated with these storms out here in south central Illinois have ceased to have expired. They're now severe thunderstorm warnings currently. So we're just waiting patiently on this storm to see what they're going to do with that. Again, if for the Indianapolis area, especially the south side, it looks like you might be at least getting a little bit of rain, maybe a few rumbles of thunder or whatnot. Not a lot of lightning associated, but you could see rumbles of thunder and some lightning as these continue to strengthen a little bit. They are congealing a little bit more as well, so that's going to be an interesting indicator there, or what's going to happen there. Trying to see if there's anything else going on here at the moment. Again, severe tornado warning again for 21 minutes left over here for Henry County. A lot of lightning associated with this storm as well. Again, a lot of rain also being dumped as well. Let's take a look and see if we can find the precipitation so far in just 1 hour. Well, that didn't really do a very good job there. Let me see if we can do the storm digital range here. So again, not a whole lot going on here with that. Here we go. Total precipitation 1 hour. There we go. So now we can see a little bit more in just an hour's worth of precipitation. The darker greens indicating about 1 inch of precipitation, which is, actually pretty significant. But you can see even in these areas here, maybe up to 2 inches of precipitation have fallen into these areas. So there's a decent amount of precipitation that's fallen so far and within these storms. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now here's probably the real deal here. This is why we've got a flash flood warning here for basically for well, in Ohio, but you also have Wayne County and northeastern Union counties. And these, I mean, this obviously says it all here, folks. I mean, it's literally 2 to 3 inches of rainfall has fallen since these storms have kind of come through and just kind of riding along this area here. So that's why there's a flash flood warning in that area, just because of how much rain has fallen in that area. So that explains that. It does look like we've got another kind of a continuation of the severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like $half sized hail could be indicated here. 60-mile-per-hour winds. This expires in 49 minutes here, including the counties of Monroe, Clay, and Owen counties. And this is until midnight tonight. So that's your severe thunderstorm warning there. If you're heading towards Freedom within the next, I'd say, 30 minutes. Bloomington obviously is affected by some of these storms. They just all congealed together and provided a huge, strong storm there. These storms are firing up right along where Mooresville is right now. It looks like it's getting strong. And currently where I live, I'm starting to hear a little bit of rain. So that's a good indication that rain is starting to approach these areas too. So a lot of energy being worked with right now at night, which is so opposite of our thinking, right? You think that with the sun going down, that there's not a lot of not a lot of energy, but because of so much humidity, the atmosphere is so primed and prepped for storm formation. So that's kind of the interesting part there. Now let's take a look at the velocities here on this tornado warning. It's kind of still there, just right in here, but it's not that. It's just, again, not really well defined. Like I said, I really think that this tornado warning once it expires, it expires. I don't think there's going to be another one, another tornado warning there. Again, I'm surprised it's not fully expired, unless if they've got, they see something else here. I see it a little bit here, but it's not, just not well defined. I mean, maybe here with the storm relative velocity, but it's not really, it's really hard to see. So that's kind of the story there. Taking a look around, seeing what's happening here. A lot of storms are kind of weakening that have been going on for a while. They're starting to get weaker. So not really anything too crazy. Again, we've got some, storms firing up here, kind of in these areas too. So they're going to be a little bit stronger. Maybe some lightning strikes as well happening, forming a little bit. But I mean, other than that, it's not really else active. I mean, the severe thunderstorm warnings were kind of expected, which is good for that. And again, I want to show you guys kind of what the Storm Prediction Center had overlaid for us. Let me check this out. So they did a wonderful job with the slight risk for severe weather. They did a wonderful job of putting that there. Now, could have been slimmed down a little bit further to where it's more like this? Sure. But I think they did a wonderful job here because even earlier on, we had storms that were over here and they weren't severe, but there were storms there. So, they did a wonderful job here. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, though. Expires in 30 minutes for essentially for DuBois County, as well as Crawford County and Perry County. So kind of basically right along the area of where you would find eventually, well, parts of where you would have like Ferdinand and whatnot. Most of those that has already passed, but Ferdinand is slightly out of the loop there. But Siberia, Uniontown, Doolittle Mills, those areas are basically where that's going to happen next. So there's kind of that warning there. Looks like this warning expired down here for this one, which was kind of obvious because that was kind of weakening a little bit. Let me take off the severe weather stuff here. So all we're doing now is just kind of waiting patiently to see what they're going to say with this tornado warning. Like I said, I'm thinking it's not really going to do much. I don't think there's really a good, well-defined velocities for this. I don't really see it too much. I mean, I guess there's some maybe there, but like I said, I think looking at hail, you're kind of going to get that correlation a little bit there with that. Now, I think a stronger storm starting to fire up again. Just talked about this earlier. Just a little bit east of Pendleton, southeast of Pendleton, going along kind of this area here. I'm kind of more concerned about that because I could see some velocity, but now the velocity looks like it's kind of changing a little bit again here. So we'll kind of see what goes on because I wasn't there before. I just start seeing it again there, and so we'll see how where these monitor is. But it looks like the velocity kind of see the spinning a little bit right here. So we'll see where it goes from here. But it's not as well defined. The storm itself is kind of congealed into something bigger. We'll kind of see what goes on here. Now, don't be alarmed if this looks like it's not very strong. We're not building. It's going through the radar area. So the radar's here. Whenever it goes through the radar area, it usually kind of looks like it's dying out, but it really isn't dying out too per se. Although the storms down here are starting to strengthen a little bit. So going into Franklin, that one's going to be interesting. So we'll see where this goes here shortly. So just kind of killing a little bit more time. We got 12 minutes left to go. Let's see. Anybody else got any questions that you have for me? Again, more than happy to answer your questions. Please comment on these. They're more than happy to do that for you guys. So now we're just kind of patiently waiting to see what goes on with this tornado warning. But I tell you what, we haven't really had too much in the way of severe weather in a while here in Indiana. We've been relatively calm, the last several, weeks or so. I mean, yeah, we've had a little bit of severe weather here and there, but nothing too crazy. It's all, a lot of times it was actually in southern Indiana had a lot of stuff going on. So really, we haven't seen a whole lot of action lately. But that doesn't, but we can always, I mean, no matter what, you're always going to see, you're going to see, what was I going to say? Essentially, no matter what time period throughout the year, you're still going to see severe weather. Even in December, we've had severe weather before. So it's not surprising. We're still in the summertime right now, still in the peak of summer. And today, like I said, lots of humidity going on there, and definitely indicating there. Let's take a look here, see what's going on here. Definitely these things are strengthening a little bit for sure and whatnot, but they're all starting to congeal a little bit. So which means that that they're going to more be just a line, so it won't be as like individual cells like what's been going on here. We have about 10 more minutes left until this warning expires. I would assume it would expire, and yeah, that rotation is not really that defined. I think we'll see it expire, and we'll see it move on from there. Kind of just taking a look at that. This still kind of has a little bit of indication of possible rotation, but not. It's pretty broad overall right now. This one's sort of kind of strengthening down here. Let's take a look, see if there's any velocities here. Yeah, looks like there could be some of velocity just a little bit south of St. Mark's. Tail end here. We're going to have to keep an eye on that, see if that turns into a tornado warning. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out on. See if the Louisville one picks up on that. Yeah, it does a little bit. So we're just waiting patiently, seeing what the National Weather Service will do with this tornado warning. Here in about 9 minutes, it'll expire. So we're just going to patiently see what's going on here for that. Looking elsewhere across the area, not really much going on. We've got some special weather statements of stronger storms, but nothing that's really, defining. Nothing that's really, out there, which is good. Good news, right? That's the slight risk was more down here. There really isn't anything else. Now, there have been some storms up in the, again, South Dakota, Nebraska area, and North Dakota's areas. All severe thunderstorms. A lot of them have like winds about 60 mile an hour. These winds, looks like they downgraded it a little bit to 60 again here. Because the previous one was 70 mile an hour winds, which is crazy. So they're sort of kind of slowly but surely kind of, weakening as well as the night gets progressive here. We're just taking a look at some of these storms here that are firing up a little bit in the areas that it hasn't hit yet. So we have 8 more minutes to go here. 8 more minutes to go until this expires. So we'll kind of see what goes on with that. So this is just obviously Monday. I mean, this is just the beginning of the work week. It's crazy to think about this, but it's the beginning of the work week, and we do have chances of showers and storms pretty much throughout the whole day. Let's real quickly kind of jump into let's jump real quickly over to what we could do, see the models here. So let me real quick kind of share the screen here. We're going to go and find the models. So let's get out of this. Let's go to, let me refresh this, see which one is up and available here. So here's 0Z, that's good. So tomorrow, once this passes, tomorrow afternoon is when we see our next chance of showers and storms. And it looks like, kind of very similar to today, it looks like that the southern end of our state looks like it's going to be hit with another chance of showers and storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. This is right around, it'll start entering the state right around 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. And it looks like it's kind of like formed into what we call a bow echo. Sometimes even people will call it, derecho, although I wouldn't necessarily label it as that. I feel like that verbiage is used quite a bit, too much, kind of like what they did with polar vortex years and years ago with weather, or with the winter weather. But this is the next chance of rain. So we'll kind of keep an eye and monitor on that, again, how this is kind of going to congeal and work to the southern parts of the state. Then once that exits, again, a third round looks like the southern part of the state will happen in the early morning hours of Wednesday. So we've got several different instances of severe weather or storms that we might have, specifically centered around the central and southern parts of the state. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, specifically for tomorrow evening, as we finish up the work day and go into kind of then the evening and nighttime. That's when we're going to have to monitor those for tomorrow. So that's kind of looking a little bit ahead to tomorrow as well as Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on things throughout the day for you guys. for that. That's kind of what the predictions are. And if we take a look too at the Storm Prediction Center, we can go to day 2. Right now, slight risk for severe weather is kind of more in Illinois, kind of along where that is. However, I feel like that's going to be moved a little bit more towards Indiana, a little bit further to indicate that. Tornado percentages are kind of low or kind of through Illinois. Again, I feel like I'll push it be a little bit more towards Indiana again, but more south central Indiana. And again, winds and such like that. So, and then going into day 3, Wednesday, looks like a marginal risk for severe weather, regular thunderstorms, but we'll see what goes on from there. Again, 3 days out is kind of the max on what we can do with good forecasting. Otherwise, there's nothing really going on there whatsoever. So let's go real quick back to the radar, and it looks like we still have that tornado warning for 4 more minutes. We'll keep it here to see if they will renew that. Let's take a look at the velocity just to see if there's anything there. And well, there might be something right here. Springport area. I apologize if you hear that. That's my cat. So that just kind of ran off really quickly there. So I apologize on that. So there could be a little bit of rotation here. It's not really defined. So again, here in the next couple of minutes, I feel like that's going to be changed here shortly to where there won't be any tornado warning there. So we'll see. Elsewhere across the state again, looking this strong storm here. No velocity, so that's good news. Probably will be more with the Louisville radar now. And not really any velocities there. A little bit here, definitely something to keep an eye out on right here. This could change into a tornado warning here shortly. We'll see. Two minutes to go on this, so we'll check that out here shortly, see what they do with that. But again, other than that, that's pretty much, we're just going through some thunderstorm activity here in in most and central and southern parts of Indiana, as well as a little bit of northern Indiana. Looks like that nice little line there going into Fort Wayne a little bit, but again, it's not really that really intense. It's just regular thunderstorm activity. I did mention that even though this area here is kind of out of the clear, I did mention that could be a little bit spotty shower and storm pop up. Looks like one just a little bit south of Lafayette, southeast or southwest part of Lafayette, right around the Shadeland area off of I-20 or Alpha State Road 25. So let's see, we've got less than a minute to go here until this warning expires. So let's see what goes on here. It's like a nice strong storm or stronger storm down here in the Franklin area in Johnson County. And it looks like that that storm has been taken off that tornado warning now. I did fail to mention, and I do apologize on that. Let's go ahead and unshare this. I'll go back to the Storm Prediction Center real quickly. So one there. So I did fail to mention to everybody, that we did have a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued basically at 8:50 p.m. tonight, and it goes until 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern Daylight Time, 3 Central Time. And so essentially that still goes on right now. Again, that's where a lot of counties are in that watch box, although I'm sure some of them have already been taken out since, of course,
the storms have kind of dissipated out for the most part. So that's kind of what's going on there. Basically, that special weather statement replaced that tornado warning, and there really isn't anything that's really defining there. Definitely something to watch out for here. Although, again, it probably has some hail to it, so that could be an indication of hail. Yeah, there's the indication of hail there. And again, the stronger storm down this way here, that's kind of just a little bit north of Ferdinand, kind of having that there with the hail and whatnot. That's pretty much about what's going on across it. It looks like there is no more tornado warnings that have been indicated here. So for the most part, I think that's pretty much about it. I'm going to wrap this up here for the live stream. Hopefully that you guys had a good enough information tonight to understand exactly what's going on. As of right now, there's no tornado warnings. There are some severe thunderstorm warnings, but nothing to be really alarmed about. There could be some possibility of some hail with some of these storms or whatnot. But that's not out of the uncommon question that we're used to or whatnot. So, continue to stay alert. Make sure that you have your phone on in case if there's any more warnings or any more other things going on. But we might hear some rumbles of thunder, some lightning, some maybe a little bit of hail, some stronger winds. But as of right now, all the tornado warnings have expired, and pretty much we're not in the clear, okay, because we're severe thunderstorm watch until 4 o'clock in the morning. But still, for the most part, things are actually going really well now in that direction where the tornado warnings are now expired. So losing a little bit of that energy now. So we're kind of going into more of just regular thunderstorms. So I think what I'm going to do now is kind of end the stream here. But if you ever got any questions, you're more than welcome to still comment on this stream. We're more than happy to answer these questions for you. The best thing ever, for the best for you guys. So just remember that. And if you ever have any questions, please reach out to us. And again, if you guys do also want our services as well, remember we're gonna. I know that we're broadcasting on our regular channel as well, our regular Facebook as well. Starting at the end of this week, if everything's all good to go, we'll actually be starting our live streaming channel, not YouTube channel, an actual live streaming channel in northwestern parts of Kansas. So that's kind of the big thing that's going on for America's Weather streaming channel is kind of that. That's what we're going to be introducing. And then slowly but surely, as we get more states and more subscribers, we're going to start having that channel for those. So like, for instance, here in Indiana, hey, if you want to subscribe to us and you want our services to give you, to help you make decisions, particularly when things happen in the winter time, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And that way you guys can get the most up-to-date weather information out there. Again, we report on the weather. We want to make sure that we do that properly. We don't throw any drama into it. We don't throw any stuff that distracts from the actual weather reporting. We just report on weather. Now, of course, we love to have fun. We love to have some interesting knowledge to push out to you guys, but we're not going to create any drama whatsoever, whether it be on our social media pages or would be with our clients. We don't do that. We're full-on professionals, and we want to make sure that we keep it that way. So again, if you're interested in our services, please subscribe to us, or at least to get information from us. We're more than happy to talk to you guys about that. Again, when the winter comes, we can help you guys out with our snow predictions, making sure if you're a school corporation, making sure that you stay safe, that you know exactly what's going on with that. So anyways, that's kind of it. Again, no warnings, tornado warnings to be spoken of now, and so everything is kind of calming down a little bit. We still have a few severe thunderstorm warnings, but nothing to be super concerned about. Maybe a little bit of hail, but nothing that's really out of the ordinary for Indiana. Of course, we of course withstand all the elements here in Indiana, so we try our best to do so. So anyways,
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment on this live stream, and I'm more than happy to answer those questions for you guys. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, night, into tomorrow morning here within 25 minutes left until midnight. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, it'll stay relatively calmer tomorrow, but we'll see. But we'll keep you guys updated through that. So, anyways, have a good rest of your night. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you guys here soon. So, take care and see you later. Take care. Bye.